Sports Show. We get some fairly big guests in here every now and then, James.
Thank you.
You're one as well. Of course you are. But we're really lucky to be joined because it's such a big event coming up in Adelaide. And we do big events really, really well. The Tour Down Under is not too far away. Joining us, 2004 Olympic gold medalist Stuart O'Grady is in
Welcome, Stuart.
the building.
Hey guys, how are you?
Welcome, mate.
Great to have you on board, and great to see that the tour is back. That's the key, isn't it?
That is the main thing. I think since I've got given the keys from Mike Turner after his 22 years of designing, and it was his it was Mike Turner's idea and his baby for him to hand me the keys and finally get my shot at designing a TDU, and then COVID came along. So it's been a couple of challenging years, but they've just come back from overseas at the Tour de France for the past month, and I can tell you firsthand the teams are really pumped to be coming back down to Adelaide.
It's a massive event, isn't it? The Tour Down Under. We do it really well. We did Clipsal well. We everything we do with a major event, we seem to do it really well. And Mike Turner did an unbelievable job with that event. And it is a world-class event now. Everybody knows the Tour Down Under. We've had it. They've tried to steal it a couple of times. The old Vics are trying to get in there again, have a little crack at it, but it's just not going anywhere. And mate, have we got a new track this time around?
We have,
Okay,
well,
where are we going?
it's been my first time as race director, so I get to do all the fun bits, which is like design the course. Okay. And that is also putting a big jigsaw puzzle together. You've got the guys coming over. It's the first race of the year. Most of the European teams have just gone through a winter. So, they're coming down to probably about a 60, 70 degree turnaround in some countries. The Scandinavians are coming from minus 30 into our 30 to 40 degree temperatures. Wow. So there's a lot to take on board when you're designing the race. It's got to be hard, but not ridiculously hard. Yeah. And taking into account, we have treated and supported the team so well. I mean, that's something that Mike and the whole team behind the scenes have done so perfectly over the years. It's CBD location, the accommodation, they're all based in the centre of Adelaide, which is in itself is really unique. There's no other race in the world where you stay in the same spot. Normally, Tour de France, Tour of Italy, Tour of Spain, you're kind of chasing the race around the country, whereas the guys kind of set up, they get a little home away from home, so instead of packing the suitcase and changing accommodation every night, they're set up in Adelaide, which they love. They get treated like rock stars. The training's fantastic. The weather is always consistent. So they love the fact they come down to Adelaide, they know what they're going to get. They can get some great racing. Obviously, there's some big victories on offer, but they can also get the World Tour points, which are crucial for their world ranking.
So, and Stuart, we've got a slightly different finish this year. I see that that's going to be quite a challenge in itself. Do you want to just take us through the Mount Lofty situation? Yeah,
it was a few firsts. I've got, was asked to come in, and Mike had a beautifully designed race, but I guess with my 19 years professional experience and riding lots of Tour de France's, had a few different ideas, and just to try and shake it up a little bit. So we've got a riverbank prologue. We've never had a time trial in the Tour Down Under's history, so we brought in a short little sharp prologue to kick things off on the Tuesday night. And then we've got some stages, but then the major difference is for the past few years it's been the finish has been on Wollonga Hill, whereas I've brought in our most iconic climb, Mount Lofty. So hasn't been used before. I've certainly got a vision of how I can see the stage playing out. I've ridden it many times myself. But it's just going to be really interesting to see the best guys in the world come down and race over these new stages and make for an exciting finish.
Are you when you go out and start designing the track, you got people with you, obviously. You don't just go out and do this sort of thing on your own.
Oh, I start off on my own.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, I start off just kind of trying to put a bit of a plan. Like I said before, it's a bit of a puzzle. Yeah. We've got sprinters coming down. The guys they want a pancake flat stage. Your Caleb Buens. So you've also got to be wary of giving them a flat start so that they kind of ease into the race. If we went straight into the hills, the bunch would probably explode into pieces, and they wouldn't be too happy about that. But so normally stage one's relatively flat, big bunch sprint. You're kind of delivering your yellow jersey or your ochre jersey in the Tour Down Under's case, but. And then you kind of the race will get harder and harder, and finishing with the big grand finale. So that's the kind of design.
So do you go around and you think, look at this little hill here.
I do get a bit excited.
Kill me. I'm going to get the new boys are going up this hill here for sure. You have that feeling? You have a little smile to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, being a local Adelaide boy, I know most of the roads pretty well. And again, Mick, there's a lot of untouched areas which we haven't raced on before, for one reason or the other. So, I plan on bringing a few of those roads, the windy, hard, steep climbs. Because obviously in Europe you race on all kinds of conditions and all kind of terrain. So certainly coming in to kind of spice it up a little bit on a few occasions as well.
Well,
so,
local people. Local people. Now you've gone into a different area here than what Mike did. So how have you been welcomed, if you like, by the locals?
Well, most of the communities, they love the Tour Down Under. I mean. It is South Australia's biggest international annual sporting event, so it brings in massive crowds. It's a great tourism advert. While most of Europe, is freezing through winter, we're showcasing Port Wollonga and the Barossa and McLaren Vale, Adelaide Hills. We've got an opportunity to really highlight our most iconic areas to make those people jump on a plane and want to come down here.
And I was going to say, brought to us by one of our favourite sons. So it's not like how are they going to welcome this young man? I mean,
well, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Stuart, being the inaugural winner of this event, I mean that must, in its own place. Amongst the many, wonderful achievements, I'm sure that must also be quite special for you as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the Tour Down Under was a really you get a lot of pride in showcasing your home state, and we've never had the opportunity to race in front of our family and friends before. We were based in Europe for 10 months of the year. We didn't see our family or friends from January till pretty much November. So to try and, to be a part of that initial process in getting the European teams, which always had training camps in the south of France or Spain, to get them to change their 80-year-old traditions and come to Adelaide was a big move. But I knew once they got here and they saw the training, they saw how well they would get supported. Yeah. But it's mainly about the training. The roads we have here are brilliant. The flexibility of the beach rides, or like I said, the Barossa or McLaren Vale or the hills are quite hard. Everything from a local hotel, it ticks a lot of boxes. So, on the big scheme of things, it's probably, ranked the 4th biggest and best race in the world, the Tour Down Under. So it's got a really good following, and the guys and girls can't wait to get back here in January.
I was going to say, speaking of the girls, there's been some news on the women's front in the cycling as well. Yeah,
so for the first time, the women's race is elevated to World Tour status, which means it's the creme de la creme of the women as well now. Wow. So we're not only going to have the best men's teams on the planet, but we'll also have the best women's teams on the planet.
Are you a bit nervous, mate? Being the Tour Director, first time Tour Director, are you a bit jumpy?
I don't think jumpy is the word. I think absolutely anxious, nervous to see how it's all going to unfold. What I'm quickly realising in this position is it's one thing to be an athlete and it's hard, you've got to deliver and get results. But it's a pretty selfish kind of world. All you're looking after is yourself, your own training, your own recovery, your mental focus, your drive. Now all I seem to be doing is putting out, you're dealing with all the other problems and logistical issues.
I was going to say logistics must just be enormous anyway, and you're dealing with so many different departments and communities that I assume that would be massively time-consuming.
Yeah, it is. It's a beast of an event, but we've got an incredible team in at the SATC, the TDU section, and there's a bunch of people behind me which are doing all the hard work to make it look so seamless. But they really do deliver one of the best events in the world.
And Mike's really left it in good shape. That's the thing. It was fantastic before. Well, obviously it was before COVID hit and whatever, as a lot of sports were. But it's something that we've wanted back. I think it's like we wanted 50,000 back at Adelaide Oval.
Oh,
we want this now.
Yeah, well, it's got an important place in our calendar, and it does. We get to showcase to the rest of the world.
Exactly.
Our state, and what more can you ask for?
Good luck, mate. Really
Thank you very
appreciate you
much.
joining us.
Great to have you on.
Well, it is, mate, and we'll get you back if you're not. If you're not too busy, mate,
Oh, mate, never busy enough.
or whatever.
Yeah,
I know you're a
always
very
good.
busy man, but we would love to have you back pre-race and even post-race because I think it's one of the great events in the world, and we do it so well.
Yep.
So good luck, mate, and
Thank you
thanks
very
for joining
much.
us.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
2004 Summer Olympics gold medalist Stuart O'Grady joining us. Back with more in just a moment.